chlorothiazide deficiency. You don't get arthritis of the knee because you don't have enough Enbrel in your body, and so forth and so on.
Or Vioxx.
The reason that the reason that chronic disease is generated is because your body has simply run out of the raw materials that it needs to fix itself. It's that simple. The tragedy here in the United States is that the medical profession that is in charge of our health, the MD-directed, pharmaceutical-centrist medical profession, they do not know this. MDs have no training, no appreciation, no respect, and no clinical experience with nutrition, so they don't know.
Well, I've seen studies in the mainstream news, Doc, that the worst food anywhere is what's served at hospitals.
Well, it's true. And look, quite frankly, you wouldn't take your laptop to a plumber to get it fixed, right? Or more appropriately, you wouldn't take your laptop to an electrician to get it fixed. They both deal with electricity, right? But the electrician's the wrong guy to fix your laptop. Well, taking your body with a chronic illness to an MD, that's the wrong guy for the job. And this is why our health is suffering. I will give you a quick example. From our point of view, autism is not related to mercury toxicity. Mercury toxicity is a very big deal. It was a very big deal. And I was one of the first naturopathic physicians in this country to do heavy metal chelation to remove mercury from the body. I know what I'm talking about. From our point of view, autism is caused by chronic nutrient deficiencies in the embryo as it's developing in the womb. The mother is egregiously undernutrified. And do you know why the mother is egregiously nutrified? Wheat, barley, rye, and oats. Whole grains are some of the worst foods that anybody can eat. When you eat whole grains, they destroy the tissue in the intestinal tract that absorbs nutrients. And in this country, in the last 40 years, there's been a 65% increase in grain consumption. And that is what is driving autism forward from our point of view. And this is the tip of the iceberg. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have arthritis, if you have type 2 diabetes, if you have heartburn, if you have eczema, if you have any chronic health condition, and you have it for more than 6 months, you have gone to the wrong doctor. You cannot fix a nutrient deficiency disease with a drug, and when you try, it will kill you, which is why MD-directed treatments kill 780,000 people a year, heart disease kills 700,000, and cancer kills 550,000, which leads to the unbelievable statistic that your MD is more dangerous than cancer. Fire your MD now. By the way, Alex, that's the name of my radio program right here on the GCN network. Fire your MD now, folks. We talk about these subjects every day from 4 to 5 Central. You need to educate yourself. You need to pull back the curtain on when drugs are good and when they're bad, and what you can do right now, like Alex did, like the members of his staff did, to recover their health, because it is easy. It is easier than falling off a potato truck to recover your health, but you don't know what you don't know.
Sure,
right?
sure. And okay, so I'm taking Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst instead of drinking the afternoon coffee, and I am taking essential fatty acids whenever it's late at night and I'm starving. I want to, go to the store and get Bluebell ice cream. And I've lost, like falling off a potato truck, 42 pounds, and then it just stopped. I feel great. I feel super aggressive like when I was 18 years old. That's a problem, though, because I was pretty aggressive when I was 18 years old. I'm seething, basically, and I'm almost afraid to do everything else Aaron's doing. What else should I start using that we promote at InfoWarsTeam.com?
Well, the biggest deal here is to secure a nutrient program that gives you all 90 essential nutrients. You don't need 50 nutrients. You don't need 60. You don't need 70. You need 90.
And so I'm getting that with Beyond Tangy Tangerine.
No, you're not. You're getting all 90 essential nutrients in one healthy start pack. One healthy start pack, which is the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the essential fatty acids, and the liquid calcium. Those three all together give you, me, and everybody else.
And by the way, Ted Anderson, this really happened. Ted was limping, was going to get surgery. That's why about a year and a half ago, he said, you got to get involved in this. He goes, I'm telling you.
Yeah,
he took that liquid stuff. I only take it sometimes. My wife takes it in the big bottle. What's it called?
OsteoFX.
Yeah. He took that for 6 months, and the knee doesn't need surgery, and the MDs were blown away.
Well, Theo Ratliff, he used to be he was, I think, the oldest or the second oldest player in the NBA. He just retired from the LA Lakers. $100 million in NBA contracts, right? 12 years ago, his team doctors and his trainers told him that he was done because he had bone spurs, he had osteoporosis in his wrists, he had ligaments and tendons that were horrible. They told him he was done. His career was over. He called Dr. Wallach up, said, Doc, what do I do? Doc said, stop eating these foods, start eating these foods, and take your Healthy Start Pack. Theo took his Healthy Start Pack, followed Wallach's advice. The next year, he came back after his team doctors told him he was done. The next 3 years, he led the league in rebound recoveries. And from the time that his doctors told him he was done until he retired, he made an extra $38 million. And that's Dr. Wallach driving the bus, ladies and gentlemen. No kidding. Dr. Wallach has forgotten more about medicine than most physicians know. His therapeutics for, healthy blood sugar, healthy bones and joints, you name it, are unparalleled in the world of holistic medicine.
And let me stop you.
Years, Alex.
Theo is on record that he made that $100 million because of the fact that he wasn't being told that all that sweating, all the real vitamins and minerals were coming out of him. He talks about how it was basically instant when he got on the longevity products. People don't understand longevity is one of the now most successful and biggest companies out there. Hundreds and hundreds of products that they've developed or products they like that they buy that are available discounted at InfoWarsTeam.com. This is a revolution against the system. And now I was reading where overall longevity in the NBA is increasing and in sports, not just with him, but with others as they discover this, because their team people weren't telling them they needed 90 minerals and other essential elements. Continue.
Well, you don't know what you don't know, and this is the deal. We are on the cutting edge of medical nutrition thanks to decades of Dr. Wallach's research. And by the way, it's interesting because all of the research that informs everything that the longevity company sells, all of the research was because of mercury toxicity in Minamata, Japan in the 1960s. It was a big deal. There was mercury poisoning. Everybody in Minamata village got poisoned by mercury, and hundreds of people died. Everybody got sick, and all the kids that were born were like Frankenstein because of mercury poisoning. The scientific community freaked out. It sent a shockwave through the scientific community because they thought it was, an extinction level event. If mercury can do this, what about lead and PCBs and everything else? So they put together a $25 million 12-year project to figure out the net negative effects of pollution and how to increase body health. And you know who was in charge of all of that? Dr. Wallach. Dr. Wallach was in charge of $25 million of federally funded research that took place over 12 years, and that research dialed in the medical nutrition as we know it today. This is not theoretical mumbo-jumbo, folks. This is science-based, clinically verified stuff that you can do right now. But your MD either does not know this or does not want you to know this because medicine in the United States is a for-profit industry.
Well, MDs have been caught. My dad has a friend who just won a lawsuit against the doctor where he needed 2 stents in his heart, maybe. And instead he put something like a dozen in just to make money, and it turned out he'd been doing it to a lot of people. A lot of these guys are cold-blooded mercenaries who literally do whatever they want and could care less about you. What's going on with the calcification of the arteries?
Well, calcification, there's 2 things that clog arteries. One is cholesterol and the other is calcium. When you have calcium in your arteries, it's because you don't have calcium in your blood. It's because you don't have enough magnesium. The main cause of calcium deposition in arteries is not enough magnesium in your blood, period. It's not genetic. It's not the aging process. It's not anything. And by the way, if any medical professional tells you that your condition is genetic, I want you to take a breath, take 2 steps forward and say, really, doctor, it's genetic? Which gene would that be? It ain't genetic. Medical doctors say things are genetic.
Yeah, they haven't even tested your genes, and they just throw it out. What happens is genes will make you have a higher proclivity, from my research, from even mainline science. If you have deficiencies, traumas, toxins, it will trigger it faster with somebody's genetics. But it isn't a death sentence generally.
Yeah, that's called epigenetics, and there's a big difference, right? You know, genetic stuff is like the color of your eyes. There's nothing I can do to change the color of your eyes. That's built in. That's genetic. But things like type 2 diabetes and rheumatoid arthritis and asthma...
What about MS and all this stuff exploding? I mean, it's just everywhere. Almost everybody I know is getting MS or this or that. I mean, neurological disorders. We're going to talk about when we come back. Your phone call's coming up as well. Find out more, InfoWarsTeam.com.
Hi, this is Alex Jones. Did you know that the global elite are now
Next week, I'm going to explain to TV and radio listeners why I have a human skull here in my hands, why I have a prehistoric crocodile skull from 65 million years ago, they say, here on my desk. Yes, a real skull from India. My dad got this when he was in medical school. Back in the day, they told him to, actually, they needed these for class. Shortly after he got out of school, they banned importation from India. This used to be their biggest export, was all the homeless folks. They'd put them down in chambers with a bunch of beetles to eat the skin off. Then they'd cure the bones a few years and then ship them into the U.S. Now they have plastic bones. This is a real skull I'm holding here in my hands. See, we're a biomechanical creatures. And the globalists know this. I mean, you've got the minions of the system, the MDs that are, taught to be arrogant and think that they run the whole system. But in truth, it's part of a larger program. I want to keep Dr. Glidden a little bit with us in the next hour. Then I've got to get into drones, huge banking news, and Mark Moreno's joining us. But it really is amazing that I mean, the power structure certainly knows this. Has your research looked into the same areas that I've looked into about the Rockefellers taking over medicine and the rest of it, Doctor?
Oh, man, that's everything. I mean, before the 1920s in the United States, there was a relatively level playing field. Nobody had the upper hand. You know, you had the chiropractors, the osteopaths, the homeopaths, the herbalists, and the MDs. And nobody really had the upper hand. But then the Rockefellers and the Carnegie Corporation specifically, they hired this guy named Adolf Flexner to go all around the country. And Flexner, it took him 5 years. Flexner did an inventory of all of the medical schools and hospitals in the U.S. that were prescribing drugs. And he brought that list back to the Carnegies. It's infamously called I'll think of it in a minute. The Flexner Report. And the Carnegies then gave millions of dollars of free money to the hospitals and the medical schools that were prescribing drugs, and that was the beginning of the end for all other types of medicine. They also glad-handed legislators in this country to pass laws that made it illegal to practice medicine unless you prescribe drugs. Now, most people today don't know that this happened. Most people today incorrectly assume that the MDs are the top dog in medicine because their therapeutics are safer, more effective, more scientific. That's not correct.
No, it's just like Big Pharma banning. It's just like Big Pharma getting laws passed to ban real raw milk, which is totally legal in France and sold out of vending machines, and is safer and better for you, and literally is like a live vaccine. They make their money out of creating monopolies, and now they want to shut down what's left of the herbalist. Tell folks about that. Codex Alimentarius, the open push now to restrict people as they rediscover this from getting their hands on vitamins, minerals, herbs, which are the real original drugs that every culture has used that come from the earth.
Well, in the United States, we're lucky because currently there's a law in place called DSHEA, which is an acronym for the Dietary Supplement Health Enforcement Act. And that law draws a line in the sand that keeps the pharmaceutical industry out of the vitamin industry. So in the U.S. right now, we have access to vitamins and minerals without an MD's prescription. And you know who was one of the operative players in the passage of that law? Dr. Wallach. Dr. Wallach, the founder of Longevity, is one of his existence on the planet is one of the reasons you can go to a health food store or online and buy vitamins. The pharmaceutical industry in Europe and in other parts of the world is trying to restrict
Stay there. I want to hear more about this, folks. And again, the Alex Pack is the one that has the Osteo FX, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, and the Essential Fatty Acids, available at InfoWarsTeam.com, discounted, and your purchase supports the broadcast. We'll be right back with your phone calls.
Alex Jones.
All right, for this segment and part of the next, we're going to take some phone calls for Dr. Glidden. And then I'm going to get into unbelievable news about the global banker dictatorship